Hi, today I'm going to talk about a bit of good news. It's almost the end of week 3, and I had a weigh-in this morning, and I've got a good bit of news. Probably not as good as I would have liked it to have been, but it's still good news. Okay, I did get on the scales this morning and I'm down to 90.1 kilos. I would have liked to have broken that 90 kilo barrier, but I didn't quite get there. So the loss for the week is a half a kilo, which is just on 1 pound. As I say, I would have liked to have got a bit more off, but I've had a look through the program for the week and just see where I can tweak it going forward. The thing that I have noticed is that, actually last week when I lost whatever it was, can't think what it was now, 600 grams, I think. I actually broke through the 200 pound level. So I was down to 199. I think I'm down to about 198 now. So that was a good bit of news that I didn't sort of think about last week. But this week I've definitely got to break through that. When I'm looking at kilos, I've got to break through that 90 kilo and get down at least to 89 something. So that's my goal for this week. Okay, now I have had a look at the program, what I've had to eat this week, and as I said, I don't have anyone else's program I'm following. I'm making this up as I go and trying to tweak it to suit me and to accommodate my weight loss. And it's really, the whole idea is to give viewers just the idea that you can tweak and make up a program for yourself once you know the tools to use and the systems to put in place. Now, what I've found this week is that on a few days I've had some bread, which is it's multigrain, which is it's a good healthy bread, but it's one of the heavy carbs, and my body does, well, I wouldn't say it doesn't like carbs, it does like carbs because they stick to my body and are reluctant to let go. I've known this all the way through. I've always realised that carbs are my big problem, but I thought this week I would be able to get away with, I think I've had sardines in sandwiches, and I think I had avocado on toast or something, but I have had several meals this week where I have incorporated a couple of slices of bread. So I've realised that that's an absolute no-no. I knew that beforehand, but I just didn't really take heed of it. So that's probably the biggest change I'm going to make this week, is to make sure, unfortunately, sadly, tears, I'm going to have to do away with the bread. That's not working for me. And even though I knew it before, I thought I might be able to incorporate a little bit back into my food plan, but it's obviously stopping me from losing the sort of weight that I want to. Now, as I said, I've only got 50 pound to lose, which is the target that I've got to lose. I'm not expecting to be losing 4 and 5 pound a week. If I can get between 1 and 2 pound a week, I'm reasonably happy. I don't want to be losing it quickly, even though I know that's everybody's dream and everybody's goal. Health-wise, it's not going to be good for me to do that. So between 1 and 2 pound a week is really what I'm setting out as a goal. And if I can achieve that, then I will be quite happy. So this week, as I said, the first thing I'm going to do is to say goodbye to bread, sadly. I'm going to have a look at all of my protein. I know I've got a high protein level set on the plan, but I haven't been eating up to the level that I'd set for myself. Now, I'm going to have to change that. I'm going to have to increase my protein, make sure that I get closer to what I should be having. But the only thing is with protein is it can be a bit tricky because depending on the sort of protein that you're eating, it can bring in a high fat level. Now, eggs is one. There's a lot of protein in eggs, but there's also a lot of fat in the yolk. I could possibly buy some egg yolk, which I know you can buy in a carton, and when I'm making up omelettes or something like that, instead of using 2 eggs, perhaps I could use 1 egg and then add a quantity of egg yolk to it, so that I've still got a bit of yolk in there, but it's padded out significantly with egg white, which is very high in protein. So that's one way that I could possibly increase my protein without increasing the fat level. Now, I can add more meat. I do love steak. I have found that even though the steak is high in protein, it does carry a pretty high level of fat as well. And I've got to make sure that even if I get the protein level up, that I don't go over that fat level if I can absolutely help it. Cheese is another one that's got a lot of protein in it, but I think it also has quite a bit of fat. One thing that I haven't actually incorporated into the diet or into my food plan, I shouldn't call it a diet because I'm trying to make sure it's a food plan, not a diet. Diet always seems to have a negative connotation to it. So what I'm going to try and incorporate into my food plan this week is cottage cheese. Now, I know everyone will go, oh gosh, cottage cheese, it takes you back to the old Weight Watchers days where you had to eat cottage cheese so it was coming out of your ears. But I actually don't mind it. It's not too bad. And, to have it with a nice salad or to, mix it in with something on those lines, there's nothing wrong with cottage cheese. I probably wouldn't go to, I know we can get it here that's got herbs in it and you can get stuff that's got pineapple in it. I prefer just the plain cottage cheese and just to have that on its own, and I can incorporate that with a salad or something like that. So that's one area that I'm going to look at changing. And so I don't have any cottage cheese at the moment, but it's always a good excuse to go back to the supermarket. And it is only 5 minutes away, so that's not too bad. Yeah, as for breakfast, I've been having a lot of cereal. I have cornflakes, which I enjoy, and I have them with milk, but they are also high in carbohydrate. Now, I don't think they're as heavy a carbohydrate as like bread or potatoes, but it is still part of what's getting my carbohydrate level up. I don't want to stop carbs altogether. I will try to get more carbs out of fruit and vegetables and salads. I've looked at the possibility, instead of having a lot of salads with the meat that I have, I will try and incorporate things like carrots, cauliflower, cabbage, and other vegetables such, like that. Not broccoli, I'm not a broccoli fan, unfortunately. So I will look at that. I do like sweet potato, but sweet potato is just a very heavy carb, the same as bread or potatoes. So that's off the menu, I'm afraid. I probably can bring in more chicken. I like chicken, but sometimes I can sort of overdo it. I go on a bit of a chicken binge and then get a wee bit sick of it. And even though cold chicken's okay, I much prefer to have nice hot chicken, which means it's a rotisserie chicken or something like that. So I've got to work on how to get that working better for me with the hot chicken. I guess rotisserie chicken's not too bad from the supermarket, as long as I make sure the skin's not in there. I do love the chicken skin as well, but yeah, you've got to give up some things sometimes, and that's one of those that I do sacrifice. Much to my dog's glee, he loves chicken skin. Anyway, so in the mornings I will be trying to cut down on the cereals. I will possibly look more at incorporating eggs, but if not, I did during the week have one smoothie. And smoothie had, I think it had 3 servings of fruit in it. It had a bit of vanilla essence, a bit of coconut essence, and a little bit of milk in it to give it, to give it some liquid. You can add water to it. And the one I had during the week, I just put a scoop of protein powder in that. And that's the same protein powder I used in a recipe just a few days ago. So I have got some protein powder here. And so if I do have a smoothie, I will get 3 good fruit servings out of it, as well as some protein. And of course, if I use low-fat milk, that's giving me a bit more protein as well without adding too much fat. So that's another choice that I've got there. And that can either be for breakfast or it can be for any meal, really. It depends on what you have through the day. Sometimes I quite like just to have a smoothie at night time. And that's more than enough to satisfy me. But it's also a good choice for a breakfast. So I will look at that, trying to incorporate that a bit more into breakfast rather than the cereals. And I'll see how that goes this week. I do like sardines. I like sardine sandwiches, but I've got to get rid of the bread, so I don't mind sardines on their own. I like a nice canned sardines in olive oil, something like that. I know some people can't stand sardines. I don't mind them. Also, I don't mind canned salmon. I do not like fresh salmon. I know everyone thinks I'm stupid, but it's a freshwater fish and it's very gamey as far as I'm concerned, and I don't like the oily texture. But canned salmon, I'm happy to have canned salmon, so I will, have some of that. I've always got that in the cupboard anyway, so I will try and incorporate some canned salmon. I think the salmon that we get is Canadian, or I think it's mostly Canadian salmon. So that's all right. I won't say anything about USA products. What else? I think that was all just going through the program, looking at the food choices that I've been making and looking at what I can adjust going forward. And what I'm going to do this week is I normally wait till the end of the week. My choice is to wait till the end of the week to weigh myself, but I'm going to do it after about 3 days. So I'm going to have a look to see if there is any progress moving forward, because I should get an indication then whether or not I'm going to have, the couple of pound weight loss, or whether it's just going to be a pound like this week. Probably if I'd weighed myself during the week, I might have been inspired to change things up a wee bit through the week, but I didn't. And, the week's gone now, so that's fine. But I will keep a check. I'm not one that I like to jump on the scales all the time, because your weight can go up and down depending on your fluid levels and things like that. And it can get very disheartening. And I don't want to feel that that I'm going to be sort of depending on the scales all the time. It's a wee bit like looking at your analytics on YouTube. I don't want to keep doing it all the time, even though you keep getting dragged back to it. But anyway, that's one of the things I'm going to do this week, is to have a weigh about halfway through the week, just to give me an indication. And I will post on here on that particular day if there is any progress or how things are going from there. I think that covers everything. And I am going to post my stats from today and from yesterday, my eating plan. And once I've done that, I shall have just another quick review of my eating for the week. And if I see anything significant that I need to mention, I'll add it on before I get to the end of this video. But in the meantime, I will say cheerio, everybody. If you have enjoyed this video, if you've learned anything from it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I would be most happy for that. In the meantime, stay safe and take care. Bye.